Gar.
Yeah, and we'll see what the rest of the bans are. Draven being banned out. They do have that first pick. So banning the Draven, getting the Ezreal, it's a really safe buy for them. I honestly wouldn't be that surprised to see Mono ban out the Ezreal. I think they're going to be comfortable with the bot lane. But Ezreal is in a lane that you can bully around. And I think Mono, they're going to want to get a really aggressive early advantage in this game. You know, so they'll maybe force Zuna into a champion, you know, other than Ezreal. He was very strong with that Ezreal. They do ban out Skarner as well, though, and we had seen Psycho Sid in the past, how strong that Skarner pick has been for him.
So I think at this point, CLG.Black is guaranteed here first pick at least either Ezreal or Shen, because I don't think at this point right now CLG.Black is going to ban either. But you could also see just a layout ban from Mono.Ferus just to make sure that whichever one they don't grab, they can pick up on the follow. So it's just a matter of, you know, what other bans could they possibly come out with here. And Nivea coming on in for the last ban from CLG.Black.
Yeah, and just to hype this up a little bit, once again to remind you guys, this is for the spot at IPL5. This is the NA qualifier finals between these two teams. Whoever wins, you know, they're coming. They have a spot amongst the best teams in the world. Mono clearly the favorite here, but we'll see what CLG.Black can do. And honestly, CLG.Black, we haven't seen a lot of early play from them. It's been that really long, slow play. They've been able to kite teams effectively and not allow forced fights. So that could help them against Mono's aggressive play style if they can, you know, not allow these fights to happen, go for a low-kill game that's more objective-based. But Mono's early game aggression is really going to be a struggle for them. And picking up the Jace right off the bat, Jace was open. That's a really strong pick. I'm not sure that I would be happy about giving Balls the Jace pick, but it means that Ezreal's open, and I'm sure Mono is going to be happy with that. And that's something that we had seen Zuna struggle against, was that Ezreal bot lane. And
not to mention, Ezreal's open, and also Sona is open, and we've been talking about that lane quite a bit also. You know, you may not have the same binds, but still, that is a very dangerous lane, one of the hardest hitting lanes in bot right now, and we may see them actually grab it here. There is the Ezreal.
And I wouldn't be that surprised to see muffincutie be like, Sona's boring. I want to play a more aggressive support.
Also true.
So, you know, there's any number of options. They might actually hold off on their support for a little bit until the next pick and decide what they want. They could grab their jungler. Alistar is open, and that's not something, you know, we're starting to see Alistar become banned less and less often. They could grab the Maokai as well. Actually, Maokai probably would be the most common jungler pickup in this situation. But going with the Yorick, so they're just going to lock down that top lane. And so it does leave them open for an aggressive support later on. But that Yorick versus Jace, since it is going to be just that isolated lane, that will be very nice for them.
Now also keep in mind, Katarina is going to be open too, and we've seen some strats in the past. Katarina,
Katarina Yorick.
I'm just going to go on in. I'm just going to keep on spinning. By the way, I'm going to come back after you kill me.
The Katarina wine mixers.
That'd be fit. Man, we got that's another one for the drink list.
Yeah,
on the Riot
the Riot Games drink list, the Katarina wine mixers. So yeah, we'll see where they go with that. Orianna being picked up. You know, unfortunately, Link isn't here, but I guess they have a substitute Orianna coming in, because Orianna is one of the best champions in the game right now in that mid lane. Will be very nice for them. They have to expect the Katarina pick right now. They need a way to deal with it. Orianna can deal with it, and then Orianna is also very strong in lane, and actually Katarina's, you know, pretty weak, so Orianna can try and abuse Katarina in the early laning phase. So we'll see where they go right now. Because it is a kind of a kiting team, they could actually go with a aggressive initiation support. I was going to say Leona, but Blitzcrank works as well. So it's a kiting team right now, and that's against a kiting team. You want to know that you can force a fight very quickly. You want to know that once you've started a fight, at the very least, you're going to guarantee a kill. Blitzcrank does that, and Leona does that. So, you know, Orianna and Jace, they're going to try and kite around a little bit. Blitzcrank gets a hook. End of story. You know, we're fighting. Come on. So
we're fighting. Come on, get in there. Go. Just rough it up a little bit.
So that's going to be very strong for them. And Ezreal Blitzcrank is a very common bot lane as well. So that's going to be dangerous. You know, muffincutie, he hits his skill shots. And
well, not only that, you know, you're gonna have the Ahri in the mid. So skill shot city, pretty much. You need either the charm or the mystic shot or a wayward hook. Any one of, you know, just you get one of those bits of CC down, and that's pretty much it. I mean, someone's going to die no matter what. You know, that charm can be absolutely disastrous. But going for the last two picks here on CLG.Black, that is the Sivir and the Lee Sin. Sivir for that push down there in the bot lane could be pretty hurtful with that Sona.
And this is very very interesting because it's very similar to a strategy that we've seen from CLG.Black against Dignitas in the past. In that previous set, CLG.Black, they went with the Sivir Sona bot lane. They had the Lee Sin in the jungle. The changes were it was AP Ezreal mid, and it was also Shen in the top lane. So they had the Shen. It gave them a little bit more global presence. It had, gave them a little bit more shields. But the shields allow them to tank the turrets so that they can poke the turrets down. They have a really aggressive team. All of their lanes, we've always seen that CLG.Black, they like taking pushers in all of their lanes so that they can constantly keep the lanes pushed. It prevents teams from grouping. And that's kind of going to be one issue for Mono. They like grouping early. They like those team fights. But if CLG.Black is just playing passively and constantly pushing the towers, maybe Mono's like, all right, well, we can't group quite yet, so because then we're going to lose the tower. So what might end up resulting out of that is it's a very long laning phase. And as a result, Shyvana going over for Mono, that's going to be really strong. You know, it's a kind of a common jungle that you know is just one of the strongest junglers right now. But Xmithy, it helps him counter out Lee Sin a little bit. He doesn't have to worry about Lee Sin's really strong jungling presence just because, you know, Shyvana's so good.
And even then, you do have a nice little, a little bit of mobility onto Shyvana as well. As like, oh, hey, Lee Sin's in the lane. Well, I'm just going to go wander around into your jungle and take all your stuff.
Man, they've done like 10 swaps. Seriously, just swap the champions over.
They're screwing with us now here at this point.
But, yeah, we'll see what they can do. Both teams have actually a really strong level 1. I'm not sure that Mono is going to be strong enough for them to want to invade, but it's close. I mean, they have the skill shots. They can pick up the kills, and that's going to be a concern for CLG.Black. But CLG.Black, they have a pretty good level 1, too. They have some burst damage. They have the vision from Orianna. But I guess I would probably expect to see Mono go in for the red, particularly since they're on that purple side. So their bot lane's going to be right in the position to fight for that and not have to go to lane late. But we'll have to kind of see where that's going. Is there going to be a teleport for Wings? Because that's the big question.
No.
No. So that's interesting. So going with the Flash Ignite.
It's a little bit new. It's a little bit new. And we've been seeing Wings actually just, you know, he's been going for that Ghost teleport this entire time. But now playing a little bit more standard just to see how he fares in the top lane. What does raise a flag for me, though, is this cleanse here onto Sivir, which is something you don't see too often because you usually the spell shield is more than enough to actually, you know, get through any CC. You just need to be, you know, timeful with it. But it concerns me.
We had seen it in the previous matches with CLG.Black. They like going for that cleanse. And it helps protect against the Ignite. It protects against the Exhaust. We see that they only have 1 Exhaust here, but a lot of times Shyvana is going to go for 2 Exhausts, so or for a second Exhaust. So there's a high potential that they Sivir would have to deal with 2 Exhausts and an Ignite, and a Spell Shield's not going to cover both Exhausts. You can Spell Shield one, but the other one's going to get you. So, you know, Sivir wants to be safe. One of the biggest concerns with Sivir is she's a short-range AD carry with no escape abilities. So she has a lot of movement speed with both her ultimate and her passive, but the cleanse is just going to allow her to be safe and be able to push those towers without the threat of just instantly dying, because there's a lot of initiation from Mono. They have Shyvana, who can dive into the backline. They have Ahri, who can pick people off, Blitzcrank, who can pick people off. And so that's just, you know, he's playing safe. He's, you know, the cleanse was definitely a strong decision there, particularly since they're not looking to force fights where they need the exhaust to get, or they don't need an ignite to get kills because they're not looking to force fights. They're just looking to farm. They're just looking to push and slow the game down a bit.
And even though you have the nice emergency button too with the Sona ult too, just in case. Hopefully you won't have to use it, but it is there just in case you need it. Taking a look at the Runes and Masteries here, not a whole lot of, you know, nothing really too out of the ordinary, but we do see balls here on Yorick. 9, 14, 7. A little bit of tank, a little bit of man regen. He also got that cooldown. It's not too bad, not too shabby to have on a Yorick. Last one, let's also take a look here at Psycho Sid. He was doing some pretty fancy stuff with Lee Sin the other day. You got a whole bunch of damage. You have your resist. Going for a tanky Lee, actually, this time around. Going full out into the defense tree. You got to get those cooldowns. You got to get some of that movement speed, too.
Yeah, that's not that surprising. It's a really strong setup. You know, he wants to keep his health high so that he can be effective. And Lee Sin, a lot of times you'll get kind of low early on, so the defensive tree helps out with that. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't expect to see any early ganks. You know, but all the lanes are generally safe enough that it's not going to be that much of a concern. And Shyvana, as a result, didn't go with the exhaust. That would be more if you're intending to get off some quick kills. Get off some quick ganks. But Shyvana's probably going to be looking for more of a little bit more of a control jungle. And use that jungling speed. Just kind of keep an eye on Lee Sin. Get out some early ward coverage. Just follow him around on the map. Counter gank a lot. And I don't really expect to see Psycho Sid being that aggressive with ganks either. But we'll see. CLG.Black, they've gone for some aggressive invades in some of the previous games we've watched. I'm really curious. I think the big question is going to be what's going to happen in the top lane. Because Wings of Death, He's a really strong top laner, but we haven't seen him join up with the team yet with CLG.Black.
Yeah.
And, you know, with TSM Evo, that was always TSM Evo's issue, was Wings of Death would be really strong in the top lane. He would win his lane. Aphromoo in the bot lane would, you know, always win their lane along with Nut Nguyen. But Wings of Death, when they all of a sudden get to team fights, they just fall apart. You know, even if they had advantages, and I think maybe it was an issue with Wings and also Aphromoo, how you know, he played those aggressive ADs who struggle a little bit in team fights against hard initiation.
Yep.
But we'll have to see how they factor in, and if we see Wings leave the lane a little bit more, use some of that mobility that Jace has, play that Mac Noon style Jace, and try and get some kills around the map.
Or maybe it's it could also be something along the lines of, well, you know, you don't have the right to join the rest of the team until you take like three nexuses on your own back door or something
Ow,
like that.
That's a brutal rule.
Well, he's already got one. He's actually, well, two, really.
Yeah, no, he does have a couple. That kind of makes me think of like Little League basketball, and you're like, you can't shoot the basket until everyone touches it. But I don't know. I'm sure it's really just. I think partially it might be how comfortable they are, and they just want to make sure that he farms and he wants to play safe. But you know, he really, I think, needs to be active in this game, particularly since it's against Yorick. Yorick's going to be fine with them just playing a passive lane. That's all Yorick wants to do. So it's going to be up to Wings to make plays coming out of that top lane.
Here we are, game number 1, getting on into this one. Zuna going straight in for the bottom, and he also got all of Mono here up on the red side. You guys see where they're going. There's a lot of pings actually going on both entrances to the jungle here. You got a lot of pings here over by the Wraiths.
They need to keep an eye on their red, because that's probably the invade path that Mono's going to be looking for. Mono might decide to go somewhere else, but they do have a pretty aggressive level 1.
Smithy camping out here in this river brush, but they do have the orb from Orianna. We'll be getting just enough vision. Aphromoo with a free shot. We'll be taking that one, but Muffin Cutie, there he is with those boxing gloves, looking for that. Actually, has not bought his grab yet. He's just waiting to see. He may not even need it just yet. If they get bush checked, he can just go ahead and just always buy that uppercut if he needs to.
Yeah, it's actually the uppercut's a little bit stronger. You know, that blitzcrank punch if you're in a short range fight. So picking someone off, you want to get that hook, but his E is actually a little bit stronger early levels as far as damage output is concerned. If they decide, you know, did just end up running in a fight, then it's like, well, okay, what does the hook do me when I'm already melee with this guy?
You also see Mandatory Cloud has not bought any skills yet either. Not quite sure if you're gonna need that charm yet or not. But sometimes going level 1 for that charm straight away can, you know, hurt your early laning, hurt your clear just a little bit. And if you're going to be buying that charm, you're looking for that kill. You need that kill to make that pay off.
Yeah, and already they have some aggressive wards. They have the ward down by the Wraith, so they can go for that invade if they like to, but they Mono also has the ward up by the top, so that's going to keep an eye on Yorick. It'll help keep an eye on Link, in particular, or Psycho Sid in particular, with his Lee Sin, and they're coming around the backside. They do catch them off in the tri-bush, so they're not going to be able to defend against this Golem. They actually go for it as a team as opposed to just the AD carry combo, because if you go for it as the AD carry combo, it actually takes a little bit longer, and they might have been countered there.
So there you go. There is the secure take on the red. Psycho Sid will be just fine.
Muffin, and a smiteless red too, so he's off to a good start.
He is. He's doing pretty well from. Oh, no. Oh, okay. He had no choice. He had to.
Smiteless red. Yeah.
He had to. It happens. It happens sometimes.
It was one attack away, though. That's brutal, because, particularly since Shyvana started off at red. So Shyvana wouldn't be top lane to protect Yorick if Lee Sin was up there with double buff and level 3.
Yep. And that is the danger, though, of actually, you need to know how to leash those jungle camps. Like, if you're mid, you have to leash it on the side closest to mid, depending on where you are on the map, so that way it goes around. The roaming paths are a little strange considering the setup, the little hook that they're in, trapped in that little spawn area. But yeah, if you leash it and then you run down towards bot lane, there is that chance for it to reset, unfortunately.
Yeah, so they will be back. Muffin Cutie going for the hook. He gets Sona, the exhaust, and ignite. One more attack from Aphromoo, the first blood. Aphromoo, he's already snowballing this lane. And that was the threat for CLG.Black coming in, is Aphromoo, how aggressive he can be. And if they pull ahead early on, that could be it, because Zuna would start to fall behind. But we'll see how they can do it. And Lee Sin coming up top a little bit later than he could have been if he had that smite still. But it's still a really aggressive gank timing.
But even then, Balzoon, the wave is starting starting to push into him just a little bit, but he's still getting some good harass down on to wings. But yeah, Saigo's just waiting for his moment, waiting for his time to engage. Just not quite yet, just waiting for the next wave.
And Sid came up the lane knowing that Blitzcrank dropped a ward, so they did a good job keeping an eye on his inventory. He went, okay, Blitzcrank walked up towards the top lane, and a ward's missing. So he must have warded the river, and as a result, he comes up the lane. Didn't really have an opportunity. He might have just been watching to see what Shyvana does, if Shyvana was going to come in, or if they started dueling at all, and then he'd be ready to follow up on it.
The harass from Balls is actually pretty great. Wings already forced to drink that first potion. Just those ghouls offer so much harass up there in the top lane, especially early on when you're someone like JC, you don't really have all of your abilities yet set and built. Just it's ranged harass. That's what really helps separate a lot of champs up there in that top lane, and York definitely has it in spades.
Yeah, I mean, early levels, it's a pretty even matchup, but York does have a slight advantage. As it progresses, Jace, he can push a little bit more aggressively than York can, but York becomes almost a little bit too tanky for Jace to bully around. I don't know, I'm kind of curious. I haven't really seen this match for a while, but I think for the most part, it'll just turn into a farm lane. Mid really is where the action's going to be, because Ahri does very well against Orianna. They're both going to sit back and farm a little bit early on, but the best situation when you want to be aggressive against Orianna is to get in between her and her ball, because if you're in between her and her ball, she can't shield herself to use her damage, and she can't use her damage. She just needs to hit you. And Ahri has those multiple dashes. She can just easily juke around, and Orianna will miss her entire combo as Ahri's killing her.
Mono does not know that Lee Sin is here waiting in the brush. Like I said, still with that blue buff, waiting for an opportunity to actually get the jump down onto either Blitz or Ezreal.
And I think this is still a situation where he's trying to see where Shyvana's going, but Psycho Sid, he wants to counter jungle. He's not looking for an aggressive invade or engage here. He wants either Muff and Cutie to start a fight by hooking Bloodwater and then he goes in, or for Shyvana to come in. But Shyvana's comfortable with a passive jungle and not having that exhaust. That should have been kind of a key there. But Xmithy, he's just comfortable sitting back and farming.
Good damage down onto Ahri there in the mid. Bam's doing pretty good for himself so far. The creep scores are actually pretty damn even in mid, but top lane is a little bit of a different story. You got York actually edging out a little bit of a lead, but Jace, he was low on mana, did have to back getting a Doran's Blade, and Psycho Sid is just waiting forever. There's the hook. That is the cue to go on in. You got Ezreal immediately shifting on elbow. Muffin Kitty is not as lucky. He does flash, following up with the exhaust. He does have the mana shield up. Will it be enough to actually take him out? No! Muffin Cutie will actually live on that type of gig, but meanwhile, in the mid, you got Bamp. He is being pressed by two members of Mono. You got the orb coming in for a little bit extra damage. Mandatory Cloud taking some turret shots. It will back off. No kill in either the bot or the mid. I'm
kind of surprised. Mandatory Cloud, he actually used his ultimate at the very end of that there. I guess he must have used it go and we just missed it because it doesn't go on cooldown. But really aggressive engages. That's kind of why Orianna needs to be safe. But Orianna has the range, and Bamf was playing very passively. He did a really nice job of getting himself out of that situation. So now that Mandatory Cloud's ultimate is down, that actually opens up an opportunity for Orianna to be aggressive in that lane, try and bully him around some. Aphromu's in a dangerous spot though, getting very low. Blitzcrank does cut him off, so Zuna has to back off, doesn't want to get hooked or anything. But Aphromu a little bit down from that last fight. He hasn't had an opportunity to buy yet, and that's the key. And Zuna actually has bought, but didn't really pick up anything, so no advantages there.
And I'm also noticing right now that pretty much every lane in terms of creep, well, bot's pretty even, but every other lane, plus the jungle, is actually winning at a pretty great margin. Xmithy's just staying, being passive in the jungle, just farming up, while Psycho Sid is on his own, waiting for opportunities that aren't going to happen in top and in bot. And because of that, you see that there is a pretty solid, there's exactly one level lead that Xmithy has over Psycho Sid right now. Yep. Xmithy just dinged 6, Psycho Sid just dinged 5, so there is that dragon form available, and now we may actually expect to see Xmithy be a little bit more active for ganking those lanes.
Yeah, he could also just continue to counter jungle. He stole the wolves a little bit ago when that fight was going on bottom, but he's just pulling ahead right now. He wants to just be comfortable coming into the mid game. Make sure that he doesn't allow Psycho Sid to take too much of an advantage, but I don't think they're really that concerned with him right now. They do have a ward over by the mid lane to protect Mandatory Cloud, so when Shyvana had come in for that previous gank. So that, could signify that they're a little bit concerned about the Lee Sin ganks, that they're concerned about that Orianna Lee Sin combo. But so far, Xmithy's just been fearless, and he's going in once again for another invade. We'll see if they kind of meet here. Oh, he's coming in behind Orianna, maybe.
Staying in on the side, does still have the ult up. He's got the rage enough so full of rage, ready to just form into the dragon and jump onto the mid.
Oh, they're going to try and pick off Ori, going for the blue.
The blue buff is around that time, and there you go. There is the burnout. Bamf is going to be finding the Dragon Lady in the brush. You got the orb coming in.
Oh,
nice
the
flash outside of the ult. Bamf cannot get away from this. There's a nice kick. Kicks Smithy backwards as he's going into dragon form, saving the Orianna.
I can't believe Lee Sin got off that kick. That was perfectly timed. I could have sworn Orianna had that kill.
Oh,
or sorry, Shyvana had that kill, but they do lose their blue. So,
wonderfully
you know,
timed.
despite the fact that, I mean, it was a great play for CLG.Black to survive, the real play was starting off with Smithy, recognizing that Orianna was coming in for the blue. Yes, they didn't get a kill, but they got a blue out of it, and they forced a, you know, ult, they forced a flash. So really impressive play from Smithy, having that awareness, and that's what he wants. He wants to just counter jungle. He's not looking for those aggressive in ganks. He's looking for, you know, just map control for the most part.
Yep. And these first few skirmishes have actually been quite impressive. I mean, it's unfortunate that none of them have really netted kills, but they're very impressive fights. It's evading the Lee Sin down the bot lane, kicking a dragon in the face. You don't get to do that very often. It's been a pretty good show so far, actually.
Yeah, but Mandatory Cloud has the blue. The Chalice on Orianna is going to help Bamf be a little bit more comfortable in that lane, but Orianna is going to really be able to be aggressive. And Orianna's harass is a little bit stronger than Ari's is, but did Ezreal take it?
Yes,
Aftermove, passing the blue, Smithy passing the blue over, so that's a really nice timing thing. And Mandatory Cloud getting the wards, now he can start stealing the race here. He does have to worry, Orianna's going to get it, no! Mandatory Cloud taking it last second, just before Bamf can steal it.
Very well done. And you know what, the blue buff, I like the pass down the bot lane. You know, Ari's actually doing pretty well in the lane already.
And they're going for Dragon as a result of that bot lane playing passively. They know that they're not strong enough right now. Ori is being pushed back into her tower, and so they're going for the free Dragon here. And Balls, he's playing defensively because of it. He doesn't know where Lee Sin is right now, and he's not, you know, he's kind of sitting back. I mean, Yorick's a passive lane anyway. And so Psycho Sid, he's actually kind of wasting his time right now.
He's been doing that quite a bit here in the top lane. And every time he's up here, it seems that Wings is actually pushing the wave right into Balls' hands. It's like, well, there's really not a whole lot of opportunity there. Mandatory Cloud with the ult wants some quick damage, and only, you know, using the dash once for a little bit extra damage, but there is the shot down on the Balls. Like I said, edging off into the second brush. He's killing way too much time in here. I really hope that results in a kill. I'd like to see his time and effort actually be rewarded. There is Balls, he's going to be engaged upon, goes, flashes behind the turret, and that's it. That's it. That was the gank.
Yeah, I mean, they do burn the flash, but that was a really nice reflexive flash from Balls because it was actually kind of dangerous that Wings was going to try and get him behind him, knock him back. Then they would get the knockback from Lee Sin as well. Smithy comes up. He just drops a ward. He doesn't even want to fight. He knows, you know, Yorick's not that strong of a fighter. I'm not going to be able to accomplish anything here, so I'm just going to try and keep an eye for him and then just get out of there. He is actually coming in for a second run, though. That's kind of interesting. He's Smithy watching out.
He's waiting to see the reactions because when he dropped a ward, he saw Lee Sin actually, you know, leave the lane. So it's like, well, I just want to check. Just want to make sure, is there really a ward here? I think there may be. Aftermove getting some free damage down on the Blood Warrior, but does take a turret shot or two. If
Sona gets the ultimate onto Aftermove, they very well could get the kill. I think they would get it.
Initiation down on the Balls. Wings of Death coming in with the hammer, but here comes Shyvana waiting for the dragon form. There it goes. No kick this time around. Wings of Death does have to flash out of there. Was ignited, but is now just fine. But now waiting in the bush, there are two yummy pieces of meat. There is the flash followed up by the shield. Hammer backwards. Shyvana will be knocked back. There should be no kill there.
Yeah, Lee Sin just trying to get enough damage on Yorick to get the ultimate off. Not quite able to get it, and they are still chasing. They're actually just going to zone them out of this lane. So Wings is going to fall behind on farm as a result of it. Shouldn't be that much of an issue, but you know, it still is kind of dangerous. The hook on the Zunu, though, there is the shield. They're able to back out of their very safe play, and actually the quick damage onto Aframo. He arcane shifts out of there, doesn't want to be hit by Bloodwater.
There's the ult still up on Zunu. The movement speed is going to be huge. Shots just to keep the Sivir
back.
Ari's
got a Mandatory Cloud. He has them cut off. The spell shield is still down. It's such a long cooldown.
Here comes Mandatory Cloud. There is the first use. There is the Sona ult coming in, and the hook will be flashed out of Sona. Will be escaping that one.
Beautiful play.
Good all around. Just good
Bloodwater
all
getting
around.
The shield.
Man, everyone's at the top of the game today. Like, this is impressive. Just
like really nice ult.
But there is still, though, a 3K lead for Mono.Ferus. They did have that one kill. They did have the dragon and just pure straight up farm. And Yorick has a 30 creep lead in the top lane. Shyvana has been jungling like a champ because Psychos has been killing way too much time in the lanes. Ari is still pretty even with Orianna, but you still also have the one and only kill in the game onto Aphromoo.
And that's exactly the key. It's the thing to look at. It is a 3K gold lead for Mono. And even though CLG.Black, they've looked really impressive in not dying, that's still all they're doing, is they're not dying. They're still falling further and further behind Mono. So Mono's comfortable with that. They're comfortable with not taking any kills as long as they're getting these gold advantages. I'm not sure, you know, to what degree CLG.Black recognizes that they have this kind of a deficit. They know that they lost the Dragon, so that's 1K there. But you look at Sivir versus Ezreal, that's almost an even lane. I mean, it is an even lane, except for Ezreal's 1 kill. Ahri and Orianna, that's fairly even as well. The key is the jungling advantage. Shyvana being so far ahead of Link or Psycho Sid right now.
Xmithie taking some free damage in the river before retreating. Wings of Death getting some damage there. I also got Lee Sin now looking to babysit the mid lane. It's just like, where's the dragon? Where's Shyvana? I have to be here. I don't know where she may possibly be next. And with that, you know, you still have the blue actually back on up. Board coverage going on down, making sure that at least, you know, this time you're not going to have that obnoxious invade coming from Xmithie again. And this time you'll be able to secure it. Bot lane, though, you do have Sivir. We actually see Zuna actually going back to grab these small golems.
Yeah, they've hit him every single spawn.
Because Lee Sin's not going to be grabbing him. He's too busy camping out top lane.
And that's actually common for a jungler to not grab that, but it's allowing them to engage. Wow, really quick shield. So Zuna, he lets Aphromoo and Muffin Cutie because he knows, all right, this is an aggressive lane that I'm struggling with. You know, let's let them push me into the tower so we don't have to worry about fighting them, and then we can get those golems and keep up. Balls coming up here. There's the pullback from Orianna, though. The knockback already from Wings of Death, and they're actually trying for the tower dive. Not enough damage onto Balls, though. Psycho Sid not able to hit that Q. And so that's a 3-man gank that hasn't been successful, and now Mandatory Cloud, he has a little bit of something to say about it, because very quickly, this one is going to work for Mono.
It is still a 1-for-1 trade, though. You had Blitzcrank taking the turret, and now Aphromoo is doing the same, but Mandatory Cloud comes on in. It's going to be no problem. So yeah, a 3-man gank top, no result. 3-man gank down bot. That's a quick 2 kills, and you're going to be grabbing the tower on top of it. Very well done from Mono. Very well coordinated.
Tower, and they're going to be able to deny a decent amount of farm from Zuna. Yep. This is going to allow them.
And Dragon's coming back
really,
up soon too.
Yeah, they're going to really snowball off of this lead. Aphromoo, you know, having those 2 kills is going to be really disruptive for them. And he went for that early Brutalizer build, and we've seen it in the past. You know, Brutalizer on Ezreal is just so incredibly strong as far as damage output early in the game. It's a great harassing tool. It allows you to win your lane very easily. You know, the poke and everything is just incredible. The only downside really is if you're not able to finish those items like Triforce early enough. But Aphromoo, he's been farming enough and his team has enough gold that that's not that much of a concern. He's still going to have a 20-minute Triforce, so his overall damage output is just going to be phenomenal.
Another issue with that too is you do have the increased cooldown, so you're going to tend to use more skills, use up more mana, but nothing that a True Shot Barrage to the blue buff can't fix.
Oh yeah. No, that's always going to work. And he does run those mana regen runes.
Yes, he does.
You get the Sheen for the mana pull, or you know, you can just be conservative with how much mana you're using. Like it's not like Aphromoo is like, oh, I have to constantly be spamming my Mystic Shot, but Ball's able to lock down that top lane. Really nice CS advantage in all of these lanes now starting to develop, even though mid and bot, it's basically completely even other than some of those kills. But Mono's still pulling ahead, and CLG.Black, they recognize that, so they want to counter that out some. They're fine with the passive play because CLG.Black, they want to hold off until the later portions of the game when their poke and kite team is really going to come to fruition. But in these early stages, they can't allow Mono to take that significant of a lead.
Mandatory Cloud waiting on the side ridge of the river, just in case he can try and catch anyone with the charm, but will not. But it's okay because he cleared enough time for the rest of the team to actually go and grab Dragon number 2. So the gold lead continues to extend here for Mono.Ferus. So now a 5K. Very impressive so far. And he also got Orianna a little bit too far out. There's a charm barely missing the Ori. That could have definitely been a kill there if it landed. But there are, alas, still 4 members of CLG.Black here looking to defend / push the mid, depending on whether or not there's a Blitzcrank.
And you can see the difference in play styles for both of these teams and how Shyvana in particular has been focusing more on the bottom lane. They weren't quite able to get a kill there. Mandatory Cloud maybe could have used his ult, but it was actually a 4v3, so they don't want to be too aggressive right off the bat. They just want to pick someone. But Shyvana has that Oracles. They're actually going to go in for this. The shield hits with the flash from Zuna to avoid that. The hook not going to land. Shyvana has that Oracles, and all the wards are cleared out of the bottom. The top, they actually had 3 wards there not that long ago because Shyvana hasn't really really spent that much time top. All the focus has been on the bottom lane, and they're comfortable with Yorick just sitting top and being passive in that lane.
Charm down on O Wings. There's the DFG too, brings him down to half immediately, but the Orianna Orb still looking to be out in front. You want to get that slow, you want to get a little bit more damage. You have Blitz here too on the back line, running in circles. Q just waiting for an opportunity to try and get a grab. Jace is now no longer with the fight. He's actually going down a bot lane to clear off that wave, but that's clearing enough time. One more shot. Aphromoo flashing out of the Orianna. Old Mandatory Cloud still gets caught, but neither the Charm nor the Blitz hook will grab anything, but that's okay. You got a tower, and the gold lead continues to climb. And now with this top tower going down, that is huge. That's now going to be a 7K lead for Mono.
And in all of these fights, Mono, they're not being that aggressive about forcing these fights. They know, all right, we're already getting the towers. We're already pulling way ahead of them right here. They're kind of poking us down a little bit. We don't have to force this fight. We don't have to hard engage. We can just back off, take our advantages, and be comfortable with it. So as a result, it's still a low-death game.
Smithy looking to pinch somebody in. Zuna caught a little bit behind. Is going to be brought down to half. Throws out the boomerang just in defense. And now all of a sudden, you may have a 5-man push here in the mid. Ball's now coming on down, making his appearance. Hi guys, how you doing? Have some ghouls. It's a party. The wave continues to push, and you got Wings and Zuna actually both backing. What are they buying? Yeah, the Bloodthirster on to Sivir. 19-minute mark. It's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's a little bit late, but I mean that's mostly team objectives, and the fact that it's a low-kill game. Sivir's been farming very effectively so far in this game, and they're in a situation where they can hold off. They have a lot of great poke. They have great wave clears, which is going to allow them to try and stall this game some. But Mono, it doesn't matter because they don't have to sit there and hold themselves in the lane. They're comfortable with running around the map and taking objectives very aggressively, and so this isn't working out for them. And now Zuna way out of position. Aphromoo has the red buff, the arcane shift over, and then Mandatory Cloud coming in with that Foxfire is able to get the Spirit Rush, get the kill very quickly.
Shield and Cleanse was not enough to take out all of that CC, all of those spells. Both of them used.
And that's why, you know, he at least needed the Cleanse. It was because, you know, imagine one less CC, it would allow him to get out of there, but still it's, when they have as much as they do, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, just even then, even if Sivir bought like a Banshee's Veil, I don't think it's going to be enough at this point because he just triggered a Foxfire to Ahri, it's just shield gone, shield gone, shield gone. And you see every time Mandatory Cloud's also going into very smart. He's actually starting off with the Foxfire, allowing those procs to actually at least be on their way to Sivir before sending out the Charm. So at the very least, the shield takes down the damage, but not the CC.
Yeah, so we'll see where they go with that. But I mean, that's tough. You know, it really is tough for Sivir against such a hard initiation team. You know, and Zuna, he can hold off, he can clear those waves, but the constant damage, the constant threat from Mono, they have the hard initiation, and with the 8K gold advantage, they can really bully them around right now. So Trinity Force done for Ezreal, along with that Brutalizer. You know, he's in a situation where he can easily take control of this game, and his damage output is vastly superior to Sivir's right now. So I'm not sure that, you know, CLG.Black's in a situation where they can fight. You know, they can't shut down Ahri. Ahri's going to be too mobile, and Ahri has a lot of damage. Also getting working towards that Rylai's, so you know they just won't have enough damage to take Ahri down. Ezreal, they can't take down Ezreal. So the question is, can they take down the tanks? And Shyvana and Yorick are very, you know, tanky early in the game. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for CLG.Black to try and win any gauges. So they really just want to hold off right now. They want to play passively and just farm. If they can pick anyone off, that's going to be great. But they don't actually have any hard initiation on their team other than Orianna. They don't have a means to say, oh, we got one person out of position. Yeah. Great, guys, let's kill them. And as a result, it allows Mono to know that they're safe in being as aggressive as they are.
Yep. And even if the Sona ult does come on in, even if the Flash ult does manage to get someone, like you mentioned before, the tank is there. You look at Shyvana almost finishing off on the Aegis. You got Yorick. He's got the Frozen Heart done already. And that's huge to take down the damage from Jace and Lee and Sivir. Spell Shield now gone on Sivir. You got Ahri just keeping everyone back, while the rest of the team is actually doing Baron. And the three members, now at this point, 22 minutes of the game, they have all the damage they need. Grab from mF:Q. Not going to be grabbing the blind man, but there it is. There's the upcut down coming in. You got the ult from Sivir, looking for the extra move speed, but will it be enough to actually get something out of this? There's the Orianna ult. You're only actually going to be getting balls on that one. The Lee Sin kick actually kicked everybody out, but that is Aphromoo with the ultimate. Going to get the kill onto Sivir. Banff needs to run. Wings of Death cannot stay here long either, and Sona is actually nearly already at base. 2 quick kills following up on the Baron, and Mono is in such a dominant position.
The team is so mobile. They're able to move in. This is going to be an inhibitor off of this, and it's going to be tough for CLG.Black to hold back and not win this game.
This could actually be game.
It will very likely be game, but they might hold back after the inhibitor and just go by CLG or Mono right now. They have a lot of gold that can be spent on items, and everyone's respawning for CLG.Black, so they'll probably hold off. Yes, they will take the inhibitor and get out of there. So they have a lot of gold to spend now and just continue to further their lead, and it's going to be tough for CLG.Black. The bot lane actually worked out well for them. The lanes, all in all, did fairly well. They were very even matchups, but the early game aggression for Mono, there's the surrender. It doesn't matter. CLG.Black knows when it's over, and Mono takes game number 1 in just superb fashion.
It was a superb game on both ends, actually.
6-1 though. That's a very
this is unusual.
It's not a fight-oriented game. Mono, they were trying to be aggressive. CLG.Black would, kite them, would be doing exactly what they need to do. It's just that they never had to push back into Mono. Mono was constantly able to, swing it into their favor.
Yeah, and those first few fights, though, were just absolutely fantastic. I mean, everyone, just the Lee Sin camping out bot lane, you still had members of Mono being able to get out. You had Shyvana there in the top lane, and even then Yorick actually evading a 3-man gank into top lane was just absolutely huge. But that's what happens, though, with these low-kill games, is that you have a lot of small skirmishes, you have a lot of people getting away, but still absolutely entertaining, and I hope that game 2 is equally as entertaining. I think we're going to be ready to go here. So we will be back in just a little